Hello and welcome back to another video. So, this week is something a little bit different, something I haven't done for quite some time, which is a collection video. So, I'm looking at a system, specifically the Virtual Boy. We're looking at the Virtual Boy today, and my small, it's not huge, it's not a massive collection, it's about 8 games and some other bits for the Virtual Boy. If you don't know what the Virtual Boy is, it's this thing. It is this thing on a little stand that's rickety and horribly expensive. So, you might be looking at that and going, oh dear. Let's reattach that. And that's fluff. But yeah, Virtual Boy, one like that. Well, not one. It's not a VR headset. It is not a VR headset. What the Virtual Boy is a 32-bit console, the only one developed by Nintendo, at a time where 32-bit was kind of the central thing. You had the Sega Saturn. Lot of it there. Lot of Saturn. Got some new Saturn stuff. Maybe another video. But, you had the PS1. You had the 3DO. Technically, the Atari Jaguar. And you had this. So this was Nintendo's attempt at making making a 32-bit system. And it, I think, was from the original creator of the Game Boy. So it shares the same name. You rest it on a desk using the stand. And then you play the games in glorious black and red. Because black and red. Black and red. So, the Virtual Boy is fairly renowned for causing eye strain, being a battery hog. So this thing, I'll get into its weird little power system thing in a minute, eats through about 6 AA batteries over 3 hours. Maybe a little bit more, depending on what you're playing, depending on, I guess, the lighting, whatever. Depending on how good your batteries are. But in general, it chews through batteries, just like the just like the Atari Lynx, just like so many other handhelds, although this is one of the very few instances of a desk-based console. The only one I also have is the Vectrex. The Vectrex is the only, both begin with V. Oh. I'll probably do a Vectrex video at some point, I just haven't got around to it. The Virtual Boy comes first, because it's Nintendo. Yeah, so this is the American model, and the only reason I know that is because it's got the old Nintendo questions service, authorized repair centers for that thing. It works, which is nice. I've tested it a few times. It does work quite nicely. What do I think of the Virtual Boy? It's fine. I don't hate it. It is not a console I play for longer than maybe 10 minutes at a time. And it was horribly expensive, considering. But yeah, I don't think it's bad. If anything, I actually really like its controller. Its controller has 2 D-pads, 2 shoulder buttons, which for Nintendo at the time wasn't really a thing. If anything, this was more comfortable to hold than the Nintendo 64's controller. That thing is awful. It is trash. It makes playing the N64 actually very difficult for me, to the point where I've switched over to like a third-party controller that's better. Specifically, I use the Polymakers. But this I really like for 2 reasons. 2 D-pads. It's comfy in a strange way. Like the Virtual Boy is a pain in the ass to play because you got to be like this. You got to your face is wedged into it so that you can see just black and red LEDs, because that was the cheapest form of LED they can get. Could get, I'm sorry. Personally, I think blue might have been a bit better because it would have been easier on the eyes rather than red. Red and black just, oh boy, not pleasant to look at, quite frankly. Difficult. It's a difficult sell. Personally, I think white might have been better. I don't know. But either way, maybe black and white games on this thing would have been good, but we're long past that point. The other weird thing, That's the power connector. So, yeah, the Virtual Boy is a bit of a weird system where the power isn't in the main console, it's in the controller. Specifically, like, there. 6 AA batteries, slot right in. You plug that into the back of the controller, and away you go. A grand total of 3 hours to 4 hours gameplay. Maybe 6, depending. But yeah, there were ways around that, though. Specifically, this. So, you had the power adapter, the AC adapter, tap. Yeah, you just plug your AC adapter in there, and you plug it into the console. Now, unfortunately, I am not in America, so as a result, I've had to get a couple of adapters. So, first things first, this plugs into the Virtual Boy. This plugs into the special adapter on the back. Then this plugs into a transformer to make sure this thing doesn't explode when it gets 240 volts pumped through its gut. Instead of the 110, I think it's supposed to have. So, yeah, you're looking at about three different cables and one adapter specifically for this bloody system, so I don't waste hundreds of batteries attempting to play it. But yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare. I've only just received this, and it doesn't quite fit. It does fit into the power thing, but it wobbles. This I mainly got for my Atari VCS from Atari, brand new console. Haven't gone into it too much yet, but yeah, got that. And now, once I'm in a mood, I can plug that in without wasting hundreds in batteries. Yeah. What do I think of this thing? I don't hate the Virtual Boy. I've ummed and ahed over the last couple of years about keeping this because I'm like, do I? It's shelf candy. It's nothing really more. I'm not really going to play it. I've been playing it. I don't actually hate it. It's actually fine. There's some repro games out there you can get. Like, games people have ported to this thing. I'm actually tempted to get. I mean, I think it was Yume Nikki was one of them. I don't know if that's... That could be horribly wrong, and I could be lying through my teeth. But, yeah. I don't know. There's something about playing it on a stand that's a bit weird. The whole thing is weird. I don't know how this got out the concept phase for Nintendo, because, honestly... If I'd been handed that, I'd have gone, no. Home console, handheld. No desk stuff. And Nintendo is still trying to do the desk stuff. If you look at the Switch, they were like, oh yes, it draws on all of our original consoles. And I'm like, cool. Including the desk thing from the Virtual Boy. Right, okay. Anyway, so, the games. What do I think of the games? I've got 8. Most of these are Japanese. I think all of these are Japanese, apart from one. I'll start with that one. Red Alarm. Yeah, this is basically Star Fox, and it's shit. So, if you know me, I really like Star Fox. Really big fan of the Star Fox series. Loved Assault. Absolutely one of my favourite games on the GameCube. Just genuinely very good. But Red Alarm is like taking SNES Star Fox, so Star Wing in the West, specifically in Europe, Star Wing or Star Fox, the original Star Fox, and making it wireframe and making it slow and cluggy and just, yeah. It's not terrible, though. That's the thing I've genuinely found with the Virtual Boy. Most of its games aren't shit. They're just not great. I'll get on to the two, actually. The two I really like the most in a moment. But Red Alarm, yeah, it's okay. By contrast, I actually really like Mario Tennis. Mario Tennis on this thing, so a lot of these games I've had to buy on the cheap, because the Virtual Boy is a horribly expensive system to collect for. Kind of like collecting boxed Vectrex games. Too expensive. Absolutely. Way too expensive to be actually worth it. But I picked up a couple, and Mario Tennis was kind of the first game I got. It came with this Virtual Boy along with, I think, 2 others, including Galactic Pinball, which we'll get to in a minute, and I think Tetris, but I'll get to that as well. Yeah, Mario Tennis. Solid. Not the best way to play Mario Tennis, but then again, nothing on the Virtual Boy is. I think the weird thing about the Virtual Boy is it's got a lot of games on it that you really think would have multiplayer modes, but they don't. Because the Virtual Boy didn't have multiplayer connectivity at all. It got it down the... Oh, bloody hell, don't break the controller. There we go. It got it down the line, but specifically from fan stuff I've seen, there's a way to connect 2 Virtual Boys together to play. But yeah, it's not a system really built for that. Mario Tennis is just one of them. Galactic Pinball, on the other hand, it's a pinball game. It's a pinball game in black and red, and I think of all the games, it's the worst. It's the worst one I own. It's very hard to look at for a long period of time. I'm not a huge pinball fan to begin with, but it was like, I think this was £8, which for a Virtual Boy game is not too bad. And I wanted to kind of bulk the library out, but yeah, I wouldn't recommend this to absolutely anybody. It's just very, very, very ugly. Very ugly, very hard to play, just not a lot of fun. Okay. Here's another one of those games that I mentioned. Should have a multiplayer mode, but doesn't. Bomberman. Now, I can't pronounce that. I don't speak Japanese, and I don't actually know the name of this particular Bomberman game, but yeah, I quite like Bomberman. I've got Bomberman Saturn. I think it's so fucking good. Bomberman Generations on the GameCube is really good. N64 Bomberman's really fun. My wife swears by, I think it's PS1 Bomberman. Yeah, she's got Bomberman on PS1. She swears by it. I've even got Bomberman on the, don't fall out. I've even got Bomberman on the PC Engine. So I'm no stranger to this franchise, but yeah. It's a multiplayer game. Bomberman is a multiplayer game. Playing it in single player strikes me as a bit weird. Now, I haven't actually played this yet. It could be like Bomberman Wars on the Saturn. On the Saturn? Yes, on the Saturn. So the Saturn collection is spreading at a rate that the shelving can't contain it. I'm going to have to do something. But yeah, so Saturn Bomberman multiplayer, Bomberman Wars? Not quite a multiplayer game. I don't know about this one. It strikes me it wouldn't be multiplayer. Maybe it's more in line with that, but I don't know. We'll get to you in a minute. Aha! So I've got 4 box games for the Virtual Boy, one of which is going to horrify anybody when I get around to talking about it, but I will. V-Tetris. Yeah, I mean, it's Mario... well, it's not Mario, but it's Virtual Boy Tetris, and that's what the games look like. They look awful. They are awful. It's not that bad when you're actually playing the games, but yeah, V-Tetris is... it's a Tetris game. There's not really much more to say about it, but it's Tetris that causes eye strain. And more importantly, it's Tetris where all the blocks are red. So, not great. Not great. Not great. Not great at all. Now, Nintendo like to parade the Virtual Boy as oh, look at how quirky and weird and stupid it was when it launched. And I'm like, yes, it is. It is quirky and stupid and weird, and that's kind of why I enjoy it so much. But, you know, A, you look like a buck when you have it on your face. But secondly, the games were hampered heavily. They were hampered so heavily by the fact that it's in black and red. And it's not just a case of, oh yeah, you know, it hurts your eyes, blah, blah. It's literally painful. And Tetris really doesn't benefit from that in any capacity. Okay, Vertical Force. Vertical Force. Yeah, it's... To be fair, I bought this thinking it was Red Alarm. because they're shooters and they're red because it's the Virtual Boy. So as a result, yeah, I just kind of bought this on a whim. I'm not a big shoot 'em up fan. I never really have been. The only shoot 'em up I've ever really actually even bothered to finish, outside of its sequel, is Death Smells. So Death Smells 1 and 2 are the only shooters I have ever put a sufficient amount of time into. Vertical Force is no different. It's okay, but it's really not my genre. Absolutely not. The reason I got the Virtual Boy is for really weird shit. It's for really weird games. It's for Star Fox clones that make no sense. It's for how the fuck does Mario Tennis work in something that is that people constantly mistake for being a virtual reality system when it isn't. It's just like having a Game Boy strapped to your face, but sat on a desk and it's like, and it's in black and red and it hurts. It hurts to play. The weird shit, though, which is the last two games I'm going to talk about today, specifically are probably my favourite game on the system, which is just basically Punch-Out, and why on God's green earth they didn't just go, yeah, it's Punch-Out, it's Tolero Boxer. I mean, you're a robot with a spiky head fighting other robots, in first person, which is very strange. And you hit with the two, well, they're not even bumper buttons, they're underneath the controller. These are used to duck and weave and dodge, and it's very weird, and it's very technical, and I really like it. I really like it. When I sit people down and go, hey, you're never going to play this thing, you're never going to own this thing, try out Tolero Boxer. Let me know what you think, because I think it's really good. I think it's a really good game. It's currently my favourite on the Virtual Boy. Largely because I haven't played the next game that I will get around to. Although I have a sneaking suspicion this will also be quite fun. But yeah, Tolero Boxer is great. I heartily recommend it. If you're going to own a Virtual Boy for whatever reason, you're actually going to play the thing and it's not just going to sit on your retro gaming shelf so you can go, I own a Virtual Boy. I'm one of those people who has it on my shelf. That's correct. And it's like, do you play it? No. Well, okay, that's your discretion. But if you are going to play it, play Tolero Boxer. It's worth it. It's not worth the whole system, but it is worth it. Here we go. This is one of the major games I wanted on the Virtual Boy, Mario Clash. Now, Mario Clash is a sort of sequel, I suppose, if you want to look at it that way, it to the Mario. I think it was called Mario Bros. I think it was just called Mario Bros. And it was this kind of sort of weird perspective. The weird thing about the Virtual Boy is it uses sprite-based perspective. So stuff will swing at you. Say you're playing Wario Land. You're playing Wario Land on the Virtual Boy. There'll be swinging targets that swing in like this, and you'll see it, and it's cool. And it's an interesting idea that Nintendo never really touched upon, again, is using perspective, because it's here. So there is an element of virtual reality there. It's desk-based. And it's like playing, well, it's like playing 16-bit games with a 32-bit upgrade where it works. It just works. In a weird, very strange roundabout way it works. And this is very similar. You're ducking in and out pipes. You're trying to hit enemies, blah, blah, blah. This is mint condition. It is perfect. To the point where it really stressed my wife out when I opened it. Because this was sealed. This was sealed. I opened a Virtual Boy game in 2024, and a sealed copy of Mario Clash. Now, I don't think that's particularly common. If it is, and I have immediately degraded its value, but you know what? Games are for playing. Games are for playing. If you're not going to play it, it's not worth owning it. I mean, my wife has hopefully picked me up Cubivore for GameCube for Christmas. That's not just sitting on my shelf. I'm going to play the bloody thing because it was 200 quid. And that's very hideously expensive. But it's a game I've wanted for a very long time. Mario Clash, same thing. This arrived and they went, it's sealed. It might not be real. So I opened it and I was like, yep, that's real. And I opened a sealed copy of a Virtual Boy game in 2024. And that's kind of what this whole video was about. It was about me going, yep, I've done something that most people would find horrific. I've opened a, or not most people, but a lot of people would be like, why would you open that? It was sealed, blah, blah. It was in mint condition. So I could play the fucking game, that's why. I did the same thing with Choo Choo Rocket. I've only ever owned like 2 retro sealed games, and those were Choo Choo Rocket and Mario Clash. And I opened both because A, Choo Choo Rocket was £2, and B, when do you get the chance to open up a brand new fucking Virtual Boy game? Never. So I thought, fuck it. Yeah. It is mint. It is genuinely in ridiculously good condition. The odd bump. But yeah. Sealed. Mint copy. From like nearly 30 years ago. And I went, yeah, let's open it. Let's open it. Why not? But yeah, anyway. That is me, done for another week. I did do that gaming and how gaming has affected me, or gaming saved my life, a few weeks ago. Now, I took a bit of a break after filming that, because I filmed it after I'd filmed a bunch of other videos, and that's what you've been seeing for the last couple of weeks, including that Brutal Legend video that I did on Saturday. If you're watching this on the day this is being released. If not, my last video was a Brutal Legend one. Go watch it. It was the 15th anniversary of my favourite game of all time. Go see it. I will possibly be doing up a follow-up to my thoughts on that gaming video of Gaming Saved My Life and kind of clarifying some of the points that I made in it. But that won't be for a little bit. I think that might be maybe a couple weeks down the line. But we'll see. For now, we've talked about the Virtual Boy. I hope you've had some fun, and I will see you next time.